Settle down. Yeah, they're getting ready. So we'll settle down. Yeah. I hope we have the quorum necessary and the other person was a friend, right? That's fine. Okay. So just we'll recap on yesterday's what we have gone through and then we'll jump on to today's agenda and we'll start on the topics. Just briefing on yesterday we saw the Sunbird architecture by Vinu and Sharath also presented on this. And we had seen how we use the Sunbird for onboarding, from org creation to user onboarding and creating the channels and everything, all this stuff. And the building blocks, which is responsible for each of the activities, creating a content or creating a user, consuming the content. All the building blocks we have seen at a higher level. And we also see the code level walkthrough on the portal, that is ED portal, on what is app config file does and what is environment variable file does, and how we onboard new variables to our ED, with respect to the Sunbird DevOps, where we onboard the variables and we use it. We have seen that, and we have also seen the packages, conventions on how the Sunbird community, the packages or naming convention, how we onboard it, and how we install it in the ED and how we use it. So that we have seen, and we have had also seen on the glimpse on the portal backend. So how the API is communicating with the ED and the portal backend, which is backend for the portal, not the core backend. So and apart from that, we also have workspace reports and UCI. So workspace is, the terminology workspace is technical, but it belongs to co-create. So which we will be talking about in today's sessions. Following sessions we will have it, and our colleagues will take care of that. And admin reports and UCI, I think it is Monday. UCI is scheduled for Monday. Okay. So the workspace and reports will be spoken in the upcoming sessions for the today's this thing.
Why Monday?
I know this last minute emergency. Okay.
Workspace and admin reports today? Or
Yes, yes. In the following sessions. Yeah. Okay. So.
Probably just to summarize,
Yeah.
I think this entire UCI was developed by this organization called Samagra from Delhi.
Yes.
For Sunbird. So they are coming here on Monday. So we were expecting this.
Okay. So I'll take it from here itself. I'll explain there only. Yeah. Okay. So day 2. Today, what will be we'll going in one depth of what we have seen yesterday. That is, we'll narrow down now with the packages, like how we use the packages in the ED portal. So because we have seen, we have spoken yesterday a lot of packages. We've seen bigger list of the packages, npm packages. It is used in the ED portal as well as the portal backend. Now, what is that package all about? Why we have externalized? How we are using it? So why is the need? Where it has been externalized and the practices. Yeah. Okay. So that in that perspective, I think we know the font is smaller. That's why I kept it below. Yeah. Just a moment. Okay. So we'll talk about common consumption, which is as I prefer that it is a bigger. In terms of ED portal, it is one of the key component or the key package which plays a major role in the terms of UI. Okay, so that we will talk about, and client services and client cloud SDK. All these are npm packages. So one is on the front end, one is on the back end. So we'll have like the interaction and how we use it, why we have done it. Okay. So other building blocks which we will cover, the players, the editors, that is nothing but our workspace, and another deep dive into the portal backend. Okay. So portal backend. I'll switch to the slides. I have written the snippets. Yeah, that is the today's agenda. So in the portal backend, we will be covering the guest login, that is anonymous users, and the login users. How the guest login is a terminology which gives a different, guest is a guest, but its guest login is having something dependency which we'll talk about, and the logged in user, and API routes, how the API is getting traversed from front end to the back end, and we are calling the other services, and auth checks, There's a concept of whitelist and role checks. We'll talk about it, and the environment variables, which we have discussed today. But we will go in detail today, and we'll see how we, what the practice we do for the onboarding the new variables. Yeah.
Around variables, we'll be covering how the variables, how the front end will use those variables.
Yes. So we have seen that how we onboard the variables, but there's something interrelation between the backend variables getting used in something front end, so which we will talk about it. Yeah.
So basically, you will be setting those variables in Node, and then you will be consuming it in Angular.
Yes. Not all the variables. Secrets are not exposed.
Secrets are never exposed.
Never exposed. Okay. So so far clear with the agenda, or we have any questions with the agenda and the previous yesterday's? Any carry-ons are there with us?
What exactly you meant by common consumption components?
Yeah.
You can elaborate a little bit.
We will come to that when common consumption comes, because
One of my friend will drive through, but I'll give a glimpse. Common consumption is nothing but whatever the UI you are seeing, right? The menu bar, or the filters, or the cards, the hierarchy. So those are the components which will one of my friend Bharat will deep dive into it.
Explain the card component is one of the component of card component is one of the component one of the features of common consumption. Then we have TOCs. When you said yesterday, we understood what is a collection. Collection is nothing but a group of contents together. So that has to be arranged in a way that it has to be topics organized. That is called as TOC. So that is again coming from our common consumption. Those things we will be explaining in details. How is it integrated into portal in a little bit detailed way, but not right now. But when it comes, it is one of the topics today.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good. Now we'll go with the client services, one of the NPM packages which is used in the ED. Okay. So before we jump into this, I'll give a brief, how it was, created, why it was created. Okay. So we have almost like written all the APIs or CRUD APIs. We know in the applications Angular. When we talk about, we use service layers and use the HTTP, and we just call whether it's a post or get or delete according to whatever the request method with the necessary data payloads, right? Now, when we think about, same API is consumed with your other, stakeholders. Like let's say there's an application, you have web, and you have something a progressive web app. Also, you have mobile apps, and desktop apps in our case, and you have something wearable devices, whatever it is like. So you have something which is common across all the things. I'll take an example as an API. Okay, so this layer it is common across all the stakeholders. Now, in the legacy, previous ages, we used to write all these code at the respective code base. Like if you are taking on the web or mobile, you used to go and write service layers. You call the API, get the data, and paint the front end, right? So when it is commonly used, what we think about is we externalized couple of APIs which has same business logic across all the stakeholders, right? So for example, we'll deep dive into it. Just giving you a glimpse. When we talk about like getting an let's say FAQ, okay. So frequently asked question on an application is common. Like what is this about? All about like how can I use it? What all the different features available in the kind of FAQ questions are common, right? So why would I implement this logic, okay, this kind of an API logic or this kind of an data fetching logic in all the stakeholders? So I'll put it in one place so that that package can be consumed by all the stakeholders and just call a service and get the data, right? Are we clear, or I'm just I'm trying to align with this, like why we are externalizing it. So since yesterday we spoken. So externalize, generalize, externalize. That's the core concept and core underlying that we do when we develop something, right? So that is,
What Rajesh said, I'll just try to understand it. Okay, I'm just giving a dumb example so that everyone can understand it. I'm not saying everyone is dumb. I'm dumb.
Okay, layman example.
I'm dumb. No, I am dumb. So let's assume we have to add 5 numbers. Okay, if there is mobile, you get 5 numbers, you write the logic to add one number plus 2 number, 3 number, 4 number, 5 number. Okay. Now this is done in mobile. Now portal also 5 numbers are there. We have to add it. Okay. I will also write the logic. Number 1 add, number 2 add, number 3 add, and number 4 and 5. Now the thing is, same logic is written in both the places. Let's assume in 4 different places, because we have iOS code, we have Android code, we have web code and desktop code. Now adding 5 numbers, you have to write it in 5 different places. Why should we do it? We will write it in one place. The business logic of adding the 5 numbers in one place, we all will send that 5 numbers to the same this thing. Let's say it can be called as a API, or we can call it as a method which does the computation for us and gives back a result. So now what happened? Yesterday we talked about common consumption, wherein the times of what is the time required to construct it, 4x. Because we have 4 applications, it will be 4x. But now what happens? The 4x becomes 1.5x, because the logic has to be written, it has to be integrated. It will not be 1x, okay? It will be 1.5x or 1.6x. So the logic is written somewhere, and the same logic will be used by all the stakeholders. That's why this common consumption client services. I'm extremely sorry. Client services.
Whatever the package we see, so basically it is on the 3 concepts. One is general and one-time effort. So and team is writing one package will be consumed by other all stakeholders. They just need to know how to implement it to consume in my web shop. It doesn't care. I just have a README file. I go through. So yeah. No. Some of the common APIs which has say common business logic, okay, those are incorporated in this. Common ones, okay, which mobile or other stakeholders have the same kind of expectation on the response, right? So we externalize it, okay. So it doesn't matter, because as a consumer I need this, okay. It interacts with all the building blocks, right? So if you see, we have channel, content, course, device, FAQ, forms, groups, organization page. You see all knowledge and learn, everything getting interacted. You can extend this. So this is basically a NPM package, which will generalize your code, and it will call X service. Okay.
Why will consume this? As simple as. To add one more thing, not all the APIs are written in this. Okay, because that's why I told one example, adding 5 numbers. There may be some other logic. Mobile requires it in a different way, and portal requires it in a different way. If you write it in common, you are wasting your time. So all the APIs are not written in this, which are all generalized as well as can be used by all 4 stakeholders, are used in this. Okay, not all the APIs.
So that is the reason of using IMX and because same code will be shared.
Rajesh, repeat the question and then answer.
IMX for mobile and for web. That is the reason. Same code will be used.
Okay, repeat the question. So thanks for bringing out. So is that the reason that we have externalized, because our mobile code base is on Ionic, so that we can use the NPM package? That's the question, right? So definitely. So when there was a initial design or
External module can be used with another NI. So that is the reason we are using IMX for mobile development.
So when the Sunbird was started, right? So it doesn't mean that we did not offer other stack. Of time when we particular tool, we see core or the depth of that tech stack in the market. Like, okay, so when we take another tool, I don't, because when we take that, and if it is a new tech, and if does not have community support or has two steps, right? So that's a common general thinking that we see it. Like let's, for example, if I go and check for an npm package, okay, for Angular developers, like we go and see some ngx table, data table. We just see how many stars are going in an npm package. Frequently they are publishing it. What is the community support? What is
He doesn't care about all the other platforms you have that you build. Then, I mean, how you manage that?
No, the thing is, see, your code is residing in the, okay, just for example, I'm taking this example only. This is our library, which is an API library. Your API library can be outside, but when you bundled it, when you built your application, it came and sat inside your NPM module itself. It is nowhere outside.
Yeah.
It may be written outside, but when you did an npm install or yarn install, what happened? You pulled it out and put it in your bucket only. So when you have built your application, it is residing in your server only. It is not residing anywhere else. It will not talk to someone else also.
No,
It will talk to itself and it will fetch the data. That's all.
See, the performance is
Performance
a
doesn't make any difference,
bigger
right?
keyword. When you talk about performance, what performance are you talking? Like npm package or the?
The user performance.
Okay, so there are a lot of factors. Okay, when you build an application, okay, Angular, in the perspective of Angular, there are a lot many ways to do it. If you don't do a lazy loading, your bundle file size will increase. If you don't optimize your code with reusable code, and if you don't organize your folder structure properly, obviously the main.js or vendor.js bundle, the polyfills, everything goes for a toss, right? So it's a performance is at your consumer end, not at the npm package end.
I'll take example also. In mobile app, I'm talking about. So there are certain things where the content is showing in the web view, right?
Certain things?
Certain IDs or you can say content is showing in the web view, not in the app. There are they're
Web
live
view.
on the portal things, because certain things we can't take on the mobile side. We don't have pages for it in the mobile. We click on some certain thing, it goes to the web view and then it shows there. As a user, I think that it's not very reliable for our eyes to see certain things on a different platform on the same mobile. For instance, if you say login pages, we have login in the mobile, we have login pages in app logins, but for the forget password, we are going on a web portal. That is the thing.
See, your question, you have to think like today topic, client services,
Yeah.
right? Okay, that is a web view, why we are launching the web views and the mobile and all. We'll cover in the mobile session again. Okay, so the point is here, the performance when you say your app pages performance, that's what you're talking,
Yeah.
not the client services ka performance at all, right? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so because when you say performance,
It has
we're
a
always
bigger
connecting
subject.
to this, okay? So you're talking about mobile web page ka performance and usability performance, not the how it perform. The usability aspect what you are talking about,
Yes.
okay? That in your mobile session will cover why we are done that way and all, because lot of things pretty much is a reusability point of view, okay? Because if you keep on building different things, what happens if any issue comes? You have to fix here, you have to fix in other place, and consistency won't be there.
I think
You will end up with writing the
this thing will
duplicate
be you will see the feel in common consumption.
common
when you
consumption, and this
try
thing is
live
meant
zone.
for that purpose, because if you fix at one place, it behaves the same across all the places. Your issue, if there is issue will be there in all the places. Okay? Otherwise, what happens is, if you have desktop, mobile, web app, okay, three things. If you have three different logics written in different places, see the inconsistency. Like, there some people will say it's working in mobile, but it's not working in the portal. It's working in the portal, but it's not working in the desktop application.
So the way of looking at the issue will be problematic.
So you don't know what are the reasons. Because you written the different logics in each and every places. How can you avoid all those logics? How to make it consistent at one place? So that's why all these libraries, even the look and feel, the common consumption, the topic is a look and feel. This is only for API interaction. The client service library is only for API purpose. There is nothing else. There are different libraries, SB themes. Again, look and feel of the theming part to generalize. Different libraries meant for different purposes.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll cover library by library, like couple of libraries. Okay, but because of the time we can't cover all the libraries. But if you understand why that library being built, that's good enough. Okay, you know which library you have to make a change.
All the library, all the packages carry the same motto or the agenda: generalize, externalize.
Yeah. So
Simple.
And reuse.
your concern, the mobile app things and all. Okay, we'll tackle.
On the portal also, they are, I have seen that for the forms also, you have used SB forms.
Yes,
They are
SB
not
forms in the library
SB forms
again.
in the library. So I was about to change something. I had to do a validation. So it was actually very tough thing for me because I have to go to SB form, then I
It's
have
not
to
tough.
add to validation there.
Okay.
So
I'll tell you the
that was a
reason.
thing
Just,
for me.
okay, because you brought this point, I'm just trying to add. You
Minu,
are trying
Minu,
to.
mic.
Okay, because you brought this point, why I'm adding this is, just you said I am adding a validation. Now the validation, SB forms is not used by only portal.
Yeah.
You need to understand that. SB forms are used by co-create, SB forms are used by mobile, SB forms are used by learn service also. Okay, learn as a service itself, they are also calling the form service. Now the thing is, if you add validations, if you add a validation which is required only by portal,
Yeah.
the problem is you are solving only your problem. You are causing a problem to X number of guys. So when you are solving it, you should think of a way that you solve it for everyone. And it is only once you solve it, you are done. Everyone will be
Sure.
happy.
And adding to that, you are not supposed to, I mean, add a validation at the package level. So it solely relies on the configuration JSON.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's nothing but
There are
for
certain validations which we need only in mobile. There are certain validations which we need only in portal. There are certain validations.
Yeah, you can still do that. You can think of a way that, okay, only if it is mobile.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm again going out of the topic. Okay, this is again out of the topic. So the problem, so the thing is, we have a component which we say, whether it is a portal, in the SB forms only, I'm giving you an example. SB forms has a component which says portal or mobile. Now, if you want to add a validation, depending on that particular form or a component, you can add validation to it.
Okay. So we do have that.
Yeah, you have. See, the thing is, we have thought of those things, then only we designed it. Okay.
See, your problem, you're thinking of mobile. Is it only for mobile?
No, it was for portal also.
I
Ah.
think
S-
form
sim-
services is tomorrow,
you have to-
right?
you have to
okay, I'm
think-
extremely sorry. Tomorrow we have a topic on form services.
Yeah. See,
We
you have,
some,
you have to think
there.
any library,
that
okay,
talks
because
about
library is a SB form. Anything what you do is a form specific. Don't think of who is using it. The problem today, you end up with mobile. The same problem we end up with some other guy in future, but not today. How to make the library generic? How to
That's
make
my
that?
question actually.
How to make that property to take into library? So library to handle that validations instead of you doing on the outside the library. You have to think of other way. Of course, you can do it in the outside library, but it will solve only your problem. But the same the guys, other people starts also writing the same way code. Now the problem comes. So many PLSs, the code written different way. Then it works in one place, it doesn't work in another place.
That's
You
where-
guys will end up with the loophole again. Okay, the code being written differently in different places. A lot of issues in different places now. You should not think that way. You should not think, okay, I am only a portal. I will only write the portal code. I will not worry about the library part. No. You have to really think of other way. I will spend more time this time.
Holistic view of it.
Holistic. I will spend more time because any problem fix is not like your problem. Your fix is the community ka problem. That's what the Madhu is saying, right? We want each line what you write. Okay, it's not only your bug fix. It's affecting thousands of
solving
people.
some millions of other
it should
users' problems.
solve all the problems. The validation, what you say, if you fix in the form, not only for you, lot of other problem who is using the forms, it helps for them. Okay, you have to think of that angle. Okay, so if you don't, if you always see regular projects, what you do, in that project I will write, done. Next project, I'll go write to copy the code and write it again there. No, here is not that way. Okay, because this is a reusability. Lot of things. Yeah. Lot of things is reusable. How to avoid everything, make it as a configurable and reusable. If you want to that property to be validation required, pass it as a configuration to the library. Based on the configuration, it will handle it.
It will behave. Basically,
That's how you have to think,
how
okay.
If the behavior of the X package depends on what is the configuration you are passing. You pass a. That's why yesterday when Sharath was discussing on one of the the form configuration, you master the form configuration. You can play around like anything on the UI or any of the component in the head. The form configuration is a key thing. The structure and the value what we are passing, the impact of the value. If I send a true, what is the impact? If I send a false, what is the impact? So Yeah, so it depends on how we master the things.
So all these
Tomorrow,
are
yeah.
just libraries, right? Okay, libraries 100%. Is it something that there is no scope of improvement? No, right? There is always the scope of improvement. Today, the use case was not there. That's why we didn't implement it. Tomorrow, you have end up with some new use case which is coming in, which is not present in the library. Go and implement that in
But
the library.
implement it in a way that it is exposed, not only implemented for one use case, that is only for mobile. You think of a way that, okay, how can I implement it so that it gets implemented and it gets affected on each of the environment also. Just bear that hat.
Generalize.
Yeah, generalize it.
Okay. I think I answered partially to your question. Vinu, can you hand over to him? So like we can have the question repeated so that we'll not miss out.
Angular, right?
No, the Ionic or the React Native. You had a question, right?
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
So I asked na ki you use the common library because of the code that you can use with Ionic also and Angular also.
Okay.
So that is one reason you choose the Ionic for mobile.
Okay.
Because if you will use React Native, then you need some different code
Different
because,
organizing of the library.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, please continue.
For iOS also there is the same code, right?
Yes.
Because that's one of the reasons why we don't want to write the
Sure.
different
Different.
code for different platforms.
That is one of the reasons.
Code
As well as
management.
I said, when we choose a tech stack, we see what is the depth of the usage across the community, right? We saw the example of an NPM package. We see how many stars, downloads, and frequency of publish, how often they do the commits, check in for the code and fixes. So all these things matters when we choose a tech stack. But the package is what is there at the Sunbird, right? Whichever the package you choose, almost all the packages, we can minify it and we can use it as a JS library. So if it is a JS library, you can use it on React Native. You can use it on Angular. You can use it as a standalone index.html. You can import it in the header tag in the script. You can do it. And there's one example that I think editor, right, Vinu? I'll hand over to Vinu. He has
See,
web component, I guess.
Yeah. So that's one of the reason. Okay, when you say performance of it and all. Okay, the reason of we know. Okay, because Ionic is not performance-wise is not good compared to the native and progressive web apps.
Yes.
We intentionally take that call because our intention is the code what we write should not be like again we don't want to write because today if you write that way, what happens today's world? One developer who is only working on mobile app, and the same feature what we build in the web, the same feature has to build in the mobile app also. Okay, if you do that way, what happens to the states again? Each state also having again different mobile apps. Okay, because they want to improvise furthermore. Because Diksha is a central kind of thing. Okay, each state again building their own mobile apps. They also write a lot of new things where they can't use these common things if they want to use it also.
And maintainability is
Maintainability becomes like
goes for a toss.
waste of efforts. Okay, think of maintainability. Waste of effort. How much effort is wasting like just to build one feature now? Okay, and any issue comes, different issues in different places. Who will go and fix it? All those things now. Where's the consistency? Like how can you make sure the issue will not occur in different reasons? Right. Okay. So that's the reason we know.
Similar to any NPM package explicitly created for the Sunbird.
Yeah. So we know, of course, the usability wise is a problem, okay, because of Ionic and all. But the intention is like the code, even iOS, like why we are not written in the iOS separately, like because iOS is a different code altogether. Android code cannot be used in iOS, right? If you end up with different things, what happens now?
I can fill an example here, standing out of this context, and if we see the market with the tech 2 to 3 years down the line, we saw, React Native and the React, so-called, we had a tagline called a single platform for all your web apps, progressive web apps or mobile apps and iOS apps, because it has a control over communicating with the core services of the device. Now, if you look at the market, we have something called Flutter, which is a single code base, which expects a Dart language, if I'm not well versed with it, so Dart language. Now, whatever the NPM packages which is written for React Native stays there. It's highly impossible. Like, it's possible like you do some migration or something which supports the Flutter. Now, when we write up packages for Flutter, down the line something will come up, a single code platform, so it's evolving. It's a continuous process that which we can't have a control over. Tech-wise, that is a comparison I wanted to do, React Native on the flat.
Yeah, some of these libraries, even we are thinking of how to make it framework agnostic. Like how the cloud agnostic, what we are hearing, the CSP and all. How can we make libraries also framework agnostic? One of the classic example, what we have done is the players. If you see the players, all the video player, EPUB players and all, we made it framework agnostic. But it's written in Angular. But it doesn't mean that it can only use in Angular. Now we made as a web component. The output is given as a web component, separate NPM packages, so that players can be used in any other framework. Like React application also can embed that
index.html,
players
plain
HTML and all. Now they can embed that players also into the React now. So the thinking is like why we are sticking to frameworks. Now our thinking is shifting to how to make it framework agnostic. Even this library, how to make it pure TypeScript or JavaScript library. Remove all the Angular stuff, make it pure JavaScript library, so that any JavaScript applications can use it. Or TypeScript library, make it pure TypeScript library output, so that any TypeScript libraries can use it.
So ES module,
as a
UMD module,
generalization,
all if we generate, we can.
That's what the next thing. Okay, that's what we are doing library by library now. Okay, how to make it framework agnostic now. Okay, so that's what thinking is like. Don't think okay, my problem. Okay, I will solve only for my use case. How to solve the community? Like today we are saying that Angular. We written everything Angular. We expect everybody to use Angular. No, that's not scale up. Now we are thinking of how to make it generalized now. Even that thing. Make it like everybody to use it. How to make it our library framework agnostic. Remove the code which is framework specific. Publish it as a generalized, so that anybody can use it. But that's the concept of all the buildings. Like why we are spending so much of time over here. Not only this library, all the libraries we are thinking of that. Okay, any fix will take a long time to fix it. It's not so easy to fix it. But if you fix it once, so many problems, the feature problems also get resolved. Okay, that's what intention of fix. You will not say P1 issue comes. Okay, fix it as a temporary patch, push it, and then look into in future some other think one more patch. No, we always take good enough time to make it the fix. Analyze a fix and how to make it a proper fix. Where should be a fix should happen.
I think that's where all the stakeholders should come at the same table to discuss on the issue.
So we'll discuss any P1 means many people coming. Who is the right person to fix that? Okay, where it should go, and identify whether the backend should fix or the front end should fix, so that the problem will not come at all in future. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. We have any questions? Can we jump on to the actual concept? Okay. So we have seen like why we have externalized the CSL and what is the cause and how we have done it. Now we'll walk through the code, how it is implemented and how it is behaving with the ed when we use it, right? So since this is an NPM package, so if we import it, services, no client. Client services. Okay. So again, this is published at the @project Sunbird. That is a scoped NPM package. So without that, if we see, okay, this is a chart.js, day.js. This is not scoped. So when you scoped is something an organization is maintaining it. Okay. If you see Angular also. The integrity checks it does with the NPM package. It's so efficient that more than the NPM we are using, preferring the yarn install. So we do the yarn install of the package with the specified required version, and we see almost like we don't entertain using the cap symbol, okay? Because something which is not taken care will have the latest check-in and it'll cause the application to come down. Not only this, any of the applications. So we install that and we see it is okay. So any NPM package we import it in the module, respective module. Why? Because if we had seen the folder structure yesterday, we have actually organized in such a way that I know not complete lazy loading modding, but almost all the packages does the lazy loading modding. Okay, so whatever the required components is loaded into browser. Okay, when I open with the sunbird.org or diksha.gov.in, doesn't mean that all 340 components whatever we have, it doesn't load. Whatever is required at that point of page or that routing way that it is setting, that gets loaded. So when we talk about profile, okay, I'm taking an example in the profile page. So we have the CSL client services integration. So I have installed the client services. So now I'll be so I am importing CS module, client service module into the module, whatever the module I am using. In case here it is profile module. So we initialize, we create an instance on that module. It's because it's a singleton for that particular module. And if there is any additional configuration required according to the need, we can pass. But almost it handles on the individual this thing, because it is also decoupled. Tomorrow, if I want to have one of the service call with a different params, then the global initialization takes a toss. So we have decoupled it. You can pass it individually. So initialization is done here in the profile module. Now in the component, now we dig deep into the page level. Okay. So here I'll be talking about when the user is logged in. Okay. When I go to my profile section, we see a section called certificates, right? So whatever the course consumption has done by me or any user, and the course certificate, it's a trackable collection. We have issued a certificate. All the certificates will be listed. Now there is an play by the CSL, the client services. It plays a major role in fetching the certificates, right? So here certificate listing the certificate is common for all the stakeholders. Right. Mobile also it has also show the certificates to the user who has completed it. Desktop also does the same. iOS also does the same. So does the web also as the same. Right. So now this logic is externalized and generalized in such a way that I call this service in the CSL and it returns me the certificate list. Now are we able to correlate on into our application? Because till now we talked about adding numbers and FAQs and everything. Now we are deep diving into a scope with respect to our application context, right? That's where we bring out the certificate list. I'll show the implementation part. So whatever the packages we import, we declare it as private. So it is scoped to particular that component.
Rajesh, 1 second.
Yep.
I just want to ask
Take
one
over.
question. So everyone knows what is hope everyone knows what is a certificate and how is it shown in the UI in Sunbird. Hope everyone knows that, because he is explaining about the certificate, and if you guys doesn't know about the certificate, you will be whatever he is explaining will go above your head. So I'm just giving you a small thing. When Sharath explained about collections, there was something like trackable collection. Okay. Now, when you do a trackable collection, when you complete a trackable collection, he said there is a credentialing available with it. That credentialing is nothing but a certificate. Okay. It is called as a certificate in our terminology. And when you complete any course which is associated, any course which has a badge can be associated with a certificate. Now, if a certificate is associated with a course badge, when you complete that particular course, a certificate will be generated to you and will be available in your profile. That is what he is trying to explain. If you would have seen in Diksha or let's say in Sunbird, you click on that, once you log in, there is a, with your login, it will be your name's first letter, or let's say, if you log in with test, it will be T. Okay, I go with test, let's assume. I am a test and I have logged into the system. On the T icon that you click, there is an option of profile. Click on the profile, you will see certain items. My passbook and certificates. There are 2 columns at the bottom. Okay, this is nothing but that part. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So yes, now we saw what is like how the certificates and how we are looking at where we can download the certificates, right? Now, so when I go to the profile section, as Raju said, that my passbook or learner passbook, if I'm not wrong, right, Rajiv? Learner passbook. Learner passbook. That's the term. My downloads. So we have what is the course name and the course title, completed, timestamp, and a link to the download. So to get all this list, right, we are using CSL. I'll take this method. So in the profile page component, we have a method say that get these certificates. In this, what we have imported from the certificate, the CSL module, right? And we are using that private variable and calling the fetch certificates. So now this fetch certificate method does not reside in your ed. It is not in your util service or any other component or any other service file. It resides in your CSL. This method is common to other all stakeholders because it does only one job, fetch the certificate and throw the response to all the stakeholders, whoever is calling it. And it expects some params that we will look into it now. Okay. So the request body, okay, for this function that we are passing a request body and object. So what does it contain? So it contains an user ID. Who is initiating this fetch list certificates? Who is a logged in user? Where is the user ID? So we have the user ID in the user service variable. So we try to get that and we'll put it here. So and what is the type of this thing we have to get? So we need to get a certificate. Okay, the schema name. So that is what the convention and the handshake between all the stakeholders that we use these keywords to the payload. Why schema name? It has something different discussion history, right?
As a developer, we don't have access to that fetch certificate function. We don't have.
Yeah, of course, that's what we are talking. No, this repo, what we are seeing previously, Sunbird client services, it's an open source package.
That is also an open source.
That the package what we installed, no?
So everything is you have as a developer you have availability to that. You just have to go through and go inside. That's all.
So when
It's
I
open.
do,
You have access. You can check into the code. You can raise a PR, and you can merge it in your fork.
That's why I'm coming into.
Yeah.
When we create a build, you said that we get the packages in our project. We get the packages in our app, right? So this package we don't get it at that time.
We will get at the build time. Na?
We can or we
No,
are.
we will get. He just showed you the package.json.
No, complete the question. So
I'm talking about this repo. Exactly.
Which
When we
rep-
create this one, this
the
client
client-
services,
Okay,
client
okay,
services, yeah.
okay.
When we create a build, we get it in our node modules.
Node module. Yes.
We get it.
Yes.
So we need to go there, change our things.
no. In the node modules, you will never change. Node
You never
modules.
Change it in the node modules. What you do?
If I want to see
You want to
that
change something.
Complete the question. So we'll onboard the question completely. Yeah.
and if I really need to change something,
Okay.
I need to add a more parameter.
Okay.
I do have a requirement. Okay, so then at that case, I have to go here, raise a PR, and you will change it, and then
You will change it. Raise the PR.
raise the PR. and
Don't
you
interrupt,
will
let us
upload
complete
that PR, and then we will get it here, and then I have to create the build again.
Okay.
It is the process.
So I'll explain to onboarding the package. Okay. Just I'll deviate 2 minutes.
How many of you guys worked on NPM packages before?
No, node modules. Node modules.
NPM packages.
NPM package.
No, not using it. Not using it. Have you worked on
Have you
creating
created
your
your
own
own
packages?
node packages?
NPM packages before? If you not worked, you don't know how to use it. That's not a problem. Because you are not working on NPM packages, you are assuming that somebody has written that package. Now they only have to give the build. After they give the build, then only I can use in my project. No. That's what the understanding point about you guys have. No. Okay. So he will explain you how the locally you can test the NPM packages before you raise the PR.
Okay. So okay, the right hand side is our aid portal. Okay. Okay. So we are deviating it. I think this is something which is relatable, not with the complete project. And this is a general topic. So we have Ed portal. We have all the packages we have installed, like whatever we saw, right? Okay. We have all the packages. Now, this is NPM server, which is cloud server, which is providing you the packages when you publish. Let's park it aside. Now, this is an NPM package, CSL. Client services is an NPM package. Current version, we assume, let's forget about the actuals. We'll use 2.0.0 is the actual version in the NPM server, right? Now, so you want to publish some changes, or you want to introduce new function or modify or delete, whatever it is. You are adding a feature basically. So you will do the changes to the code base, okay? Change the code base, okay? The next step would be you can push to the same branch. GitHub accepts with the same code. It does not worry about your npm package or nothing. It's just a code check-in. It's a source control module, right? So what we do, when you do some changes, we have to upgrade our version. So what we do, this remains the same. You do an update on the package number saying that 2.0.1, publish my package with this version number. Now we have taken a code change, right? After doing this version number change in the package.json, see, the client services, what we are talking, right? It also has a package.json, okay? So it has the name of the package, what we have imported in the head, the same package name, @project Sunbird /client services, and there is a version. This is the actual version that the package is currently, currently published. Because if you see, there is a this is a web, I think VS Code. So currently I am in release 6.0.0. If I switch back to, like, let's say 4.0.0, the version number will change. Because at that branch I was doing a changes for the package which was supporting like around, let's say 4.0.0. Usually we follow the convention of the branch and the package name aligned with that. So we keep, it's easy to maintain in the track, right? Now coming back to here, and you have done some changes, added new feature, you have upgraded this package as 2.0.1. Now you are pushing this code to GitHub. Community member or any who is owning that repo, whomsoever it is owning the repo, they will review a code. If changes is required, we will, the changes requested will be communicated to you, or if the code looks good, we will merge it. Now, in your branch 2.0.1, your package is residing as 2.0.1. Now your changes is onboarded here. With the repository, we have the new changes. Now we need to publish this package. So once you publish this package for the npm, so for publishing you need npm token and everything, which DevOps can help with that. So once you publish this package, now the npm server will onboard this package as saying that 2.0.0 is also available, but the latest version of the package is 2.0.1. Are we clear? I am confusing. Good? Good. Now we have 2.0.1. npm is beautifully built that you can also download 1.0.0 or the latest one. How? It is, go to the consumer side. This is, I am consuming this package, right? So if I say here, go and download 2.0.0, it will download. Okay, this is it. This is portal, consumer. I am the consumer of the package. Whatever the version I mentioned, it will download.
Rajesh, one thing. Just open npm site.
No, if I open the npm, they get a clear picture. So then I'll walk through them. Yeah, right. So whatever the version number you mentioned there, it will download. So npm is like I'll provide whatever the package versions which I have in my repository.
Okay, I got this process.
Yeah,
I got it.
got it, right? Yeah, cool.
So now my next question is, like there are certain things which are not bug. Like like I said you that I want to add a validation here, but that is not. But that I want to add a validation here, but that is not required for all the people, for co-create and other libraries, right? I just want to have it on my own project, just the Diksha, right? Okay. So in that case, I mean, will you do that? I mean, if I raise a PR that I want to add a validation here, but you don't need that for your libraries, then how you handle that thing? Because we are dependent on you for this, because if we need to add any validations or
I think you just need to drive away the notion that you're dependent on us.
Yeah.
I think just kill that component over here.
We are breaking the barricade.
Okay. See, one thing what he explained, okay, I don't know how many of you guys knows. What is this version? NPM published version. When you're doing local development, will you have in that, look, you made some code changes, right? Locally you made some code changes. It's not published yet. How do you use that library into your local project now? You have the form service or CSL library, you forked it. And you're using that library in your portal. Okay, what a Sunbird portal, Diksha portal, whatever it is. You NPM dependency. Now, if you have a version number, it should be always published. But local changes, not yet published, it's still in your local machine. How can you point portal to take your local build of that library, a form, SB forms or client services and all? You have to point to your local build. Okay, that is something that file colon. You can point to a particular build path. Okay, that's what he will explain you guys. You point instead of version giving it, version if you give, it's always npm published repository. You can point to your local folder also using file colon. Okay, then your local changes you are testing in your portal. Once you confirm, okay, it's working fine, then you are going to raise a PR for that library, whatever the things you have raised. Now your question again. The change is not specific to the repo. Okay, I want to make a change specific to only my project.
Not for entire community, but only
Okay.
meant for one use case that you are writing a code.
Now tell me the example. Okay, you're using a CK editor or something. Okay, some library. That library doesn't have that method. Some method what you need is not there. What do you do?
Generally, I will definitely add that feature in that service. In local, we used to do that in that way.
In local means you have a project.
Machine, if I do have that service class, the client service in my machine,
Huh.
I will do that. But as I'm not, allowed to do any
No,
changes in the node module.
Forget about this client service at all.
Okay.
Assume that jQuery library you're using it, or Lodash library you're using it. There are some methods being exposed by Lodash. But the method what you need is not there in that library.
So I will add that. I will create a function for it.
But that library has to accept the PR, then only it has to publish, then only you have to use it, no? Then how will you do that?
Yeah, that we actually got.
How do you do that?
stuck here.
What is your solution? How do you do that?
Sharat spoke about this yesterday.
Sorry?
So,
In package.json, we will import that. We'll put that
Correct.
particular library.
Huh.
Locally, I will use it.
But that library itself doesn't have the method, no?
Okay.
Whatever method you need, that library itself doesn't have the method. You have to write some change now. Correct? In the library, you have to contribute to the library first. That guy has to accept and he has to publish with a new version. Then only you can use it in your project now. Correct? That's the same process what you are thinking here also.
Well, if the function is dependent, if the process which I want or the changes which I want is dependent on that library, then maybe I can stuck. But if I can somehow manage to get that function, call the function in my local, so I will add, function.
Simple thing. Okay. There are two approaches. What you can take it. One is either you write in your portal only instead of calling the library method. You write in your portal so that only your portal will work. Other guys cannot use it. Okay. Only your portal, your problem solved for your portal application. That's the one way. Second way is you fork that library. Whatever the jQuery library or whatever we're talking, you fork that library into your local fork. Okay. You make a change in your local, you push to your fork, and you publish that as a different package. You publish that library with your own library.
With your own
Then you point your local thing to that published fork instead of point to actual library. There are two approaches.
So yesterday Sharat showed a list of packages what we are using. A table which had a lot of columns, like first the labels in the number of forks and number of stars, right? Sharat mentioned that if there's a number of forks, the count is high, it means that the more the package is being checked in and it's been upgraded. Fork is nothing but we just copy this CSL into my GitHub and then do the modification and I publish with my own name.
I think Bharat has that topic actually.
Okay.
They have done some changes for the CSL for their
So, yeah, there's a best example. I think my friend will elaborate on that issue.
I think I'll just probably step in. I'm just going to take an elevated view, not a tech view. I think there's a general assumption here. I'm assuming that you're thinking that until you make a change, hand it over to the Sunbird team, they accept the PR, it's of not relevance to you.
No, that is not. I'm not sure that you will accept it or not. That is the thing.
Mike.
That's my concern actually.
See,
But
today
maybe
the Sunbird
that's a
is
client requirement.
I just want to have it
Yeah.
in your mind that Sunbird is an open source.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, which means you can, when you're talking about the PR, there are multiple options that you gave. You can actually create your own fork, deploy it as part of your repository, or, wait for the open source people to come and give you a next release, which might not be practical for you. Because our release cycle, the Sunbird release cycle will be 1 year later. Get it?
Yeah.
So you have to. So that's the thing about open source. You have the code with you. You know what changes have to be done. You know how to build a release. You have to go and work around that. So you have to go back and build a version for yourself basis that and contribute it back to Sunbird. You'll have to make that change. That's the expectation over here.
Just a classic, okay, because entire Diksha today is OCI pointing to OCI, right? How the OCI guys have done the OCI specific changes?
Yeah, Sunbird.
You guys are using OCI, right? How they have done because those changes are not there in our Sunbird repository today. How they have done? They forked it. They've done the changes, yes? Then you are using that build. Same approach for the libraries also.
Exactly.
But the problem, if you don't merge that fork into main thing, what happens? Two duplicates. One is the master, which is Sunbird. One is your own fork, which you are using in your project. Now, how do you make sure both are in sync always? That's a very risky. If you maintain two things, maintainability is overhead.
Actually, we
You
are
have to make
decoupled. If you are not merging it, we are decoupled and you are derailed it.
Always these changes goes to master. If you don't go, you will be some version, and this will be keep on going in some versions.
Yeah.
You will end up with so many problems you can't upgrade also at some time.
I was actually thinking about a duplicate thing.
No, that's not. Okay, if you do that way, then you will be in some version, you are happy, but my code is working with this, you will not do
It's
any
like
upgradation.
Railway tracks. It will be always independent. It will never merge together.
Okay?
That's not a bad approach. You just to make sure that you do that, and as and when possible, start pushing it back.
Yes.
For a period of time, you will assume that they will.
That's a temporary.
For a point of time,
Huh.
but push the code back before the next Sunbird release comes. Your changes also come into that. That's the way you should look at it.
We also done some other changes like that, okay? Because we need some server specific things and all, because that library itself doesn't support. We forked it, we made some changes specific to that.
And adding
Okay.
to the same point, the packages, whatever we have checked in, right? Let's say any developer who has checked in will have this, okay, let's say this is @project Sunbird client services, right? If a person is checked in and he wants to do some changes, right? Whatever in our case, I'll fork it and I'll publish it with my name without the scope. @project Sunbird, I can't push it. I'll push it as client services -test. Then I'll do the changes, I'll publish with number and I'll put it in my code base, I'll deploy it, I'll test it. So once it is done, you merge this changes, not the package.json, you merge the actual changes to the upstream and you call for a review with the community. They will onboard it. For testing, you can publish it with your own name. That's not a problem. I think you had a question.
Yeah, so like my question was like after this forking and all, like there should be for this, let's say this library client services, so there must be some setup steps to set it standalone on our system so that we can make changes. Like open source contributors might be doing that to like make changes standalone on this.
I think for that answer, wait for the
Okay.
person's demo.
Okay.
So there is a standalone application. We will show you how to use a standalone application also. We're trying it out.
So it may or may not be in general like all the npm packages may not support standalone. Okay, some might be a service layer which you can't you need the caller function and the provider, and in middleware you have some npm package. You can run it. You can do npm install or yarn install. You can run the server, but there should be a consumer who is pushing data to your service, and service should call the other service. Some cases. Okay.
But in that case, like every change we do in this package on our board, that has to be published again and again to check the changes.
There's two ways. One is locally you can link your package and run. Okay, if I'm doing these changes in this CSL, okay, I have the portal running. Portal is the consumer of this package, right? I will generate a local build and I'll link this package locally. There's a feature called link, local link. I'll link it and I'll do the changes and I'll verify. The changes. If it is working, then I'll publish with my name to test it in whatever the staging or whatever in your own server. Once done, you can do that. Local link will save a lot of time.
Okay, so npm you never have to publish it to test it. Okay.
Unless until server.
Unless until it is it is a server. Okay. So what you can do is you can point it. There is something called as yarn link as well as npm link. So in your local only, you can link it to the endpoint where you want to test it out. Okay. After completing the testing, then you can publish it. You don't have to every change you publish it, test it. No, that is not the way to do it. Otherwise, there will be thousands of packages which will be published, and doesn't make any sense.
So we have pretty much all the NPM repositories. What we have, the demo application also. Like he will show that thing.
Most of them.
Most of them. Okay, so that any others can test that application independently. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, otherwise, because today we are using jQuery. Do you guys know how to test the jQuery? There is some demo application. The jQuery is given. No, most of the guys will not give because they'll give the library and you use it in your project. You know what are the methods, there are documentation how to use it. You integrate it into your project and do it. But we are also doing the same thing, but we felt, okay, demo application will be useful so that they can test it independently. That's how in the
It's a ready
repositories.
hot cake. Just take it and try it from
we also
the
trying to
demo
solve that
application.
problem as well. Okay, so they're putting the demo applications in each and every NPM libraries so that independently they can also testing those things. Ideally should not, but we are making sure everyone is easy to adopt, okay, instead of you guys struggling so much and everyone, okay, because that helps a lot of adoption. Especially the key intention is adopt more, lot of adoptions to come back, okay.
But not for all the NPM. Please don't try it for all the, because
That's why I just
child
given
cloud
a
services you
example.
cannot, because you need an start point, end point also. It has to point to something which it has to fetch something.
You guys can create your own application.
Yeah.
It's not like something that this guys has to give that thing. If you feel that is something is not there, you create it and push it as a PR. Okay, you can test this thing as an independent application. Obviously, definitely will accept the PRs, right? Okay, they won't say no. This is we don't need, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. This is a good discussion because pretty much all the NPM libraries are meant for that way. Because first thing is he'll showcase how to install how to test the local NPM package
I mean,
locally.
the entire today's agenda will be on the packages itself. So if we have the ground set well, so moving forward, the discussion goes smooth, right?
Fruitful.
Fruitful. Okay. So now coming back to the CSL, okay. So fetch certificates, as we were talking, and it has something common business logic between all the stakeholders, the mobile or web or the desktop. So now this method, the fetch certificates, this is I am referring in the portal, okay. If you see the URL, you can see the Sunbird 8 portal. This is our consumer, okay. This is a consumer now. So I'll be calling this method which is in the CSL, okay. Which is, if we look at this, project, we have only a service layers, right? In the README, we saw different FAQs, cores, consumption, the user, right? All these are nothing but a service layer which just has a logic to take the payload, do the necessary API call, get the data, throw it to the consumer. Just a service layer, right? We don't have UI or we don't have any something which is styles or something, nothing. It's just a service layer. Okay. So now the convention is when we talk about the certificate thing, right? We have some separate implementation for that in a separate folder, which is a well organized structure. So when we go at implementation, and I'll close this. So I have this method. Okay. So this is a method. This is a method which is called from the head to get all the certificates for particular user ID, right? So we see there's an interface defined for that. It's how it expects the request body from the consumers, whoever is using it. So we can't pass object without an unstructured object. So we expect some kind of an interfaced object. So that implementation is also written. If you can, I can open that. So if you see at the interface, I'm not able to fetch that particular one. For example, if for learner certificate V2 version, what is the request object should look like is defined in the models, right?
This is what we're saying artifact. Because this library don't set a right request, it will fail. It doesn't know what is it. So it defines what is the request format. Whoever is consuming it is a proper contract. Okay, request should be in this format only. Then only I can make a request. If you don't pass in this format, the request itself is invalid. Obviously, you get error. Okay, that's what all the interfaces what you show you. What is the request interface? What is the structure of the object that is to be passed?
Okay. So when we look at this method, so we see there's another method called, inside that we are having another method. Okay. So this is the beauty here. This was defined, say let's at one point of time we had defined fetch certificates is the method which all the stakeholders will be communicating. Down the line we had some changes in the services, the response structure made changed, and we shifted to RC certificate registry. Okay. So what we do, we keep the exposed method as is to the stakeholders. Boss, you don't need to worry. You just call this method. I'll do whatever the necessary changes inside this. I'll call V1, V2, V3 versioning of the functions, and I'll do whatever the necessary logics is required, and I'll construct the response. I'll send it to the consumers. Now what happened here is, you do n number of changes, you keep your method exposed one time, that all the stakeholders are agreed on that, the logic will be keep changing in the package level. Right? We don't need to rewrite the UI in web or mobile or desktop or whatever the stakeholders. You do one place change, it get reflected everywhere. That's the beauty of generalization here. Right? Hope we are connecting to the what discussion we had earlier, right? Function name is one, but inside we are calling two other methods to construct this and get the response from the actual services. Yeah.
This is like all this thing you have to think like building blocks again. If you are told a building block, what is happening within a building block, you don't have to worry about it, right? Internally it does a lot of things. You don't worry about it. There is some API given to front-end guys to use it, right? Most of the building blocks today. Because similarly, this library is given some method to you. Expose the method. You don't worry about what endpoint is being called and how it's been structured and everything. You will be completely agnostic of it. You use this method, it will work for you. Okay, you don't have to worry about which API being called, what is the API structure and all. Okay, that's the beauty of it. Like you nicely see the only output. Within that, okay, if you take an example of fridge, okay, fridge, you can see bit of fridge, okay, what you can keep the things and all. How it's getting cooled, okay, how the power supply and all, you don't have to worry about that. Similar to that, there is a library which gives some methods, very clean and everything, okay, you don't have to worry about what is internally, how it's been handled, routing and everything. Ignore that.
So if you are interested, you can switch back to.
Just a small trivia, I don't know whether you guys know. Have you guys understood the Amazon working of how Amazon guys are actually mandated to work on software? What is the Jeff Bezos mandate to his team? There was this great, if you haven't seen it, please, I would recommend you please Google it out. I think about 10 or 12 years back, he had mandated his entire engineering organization. Okay, he said that you will only work on API contracts. Okay, every team will work only on API contracts. You don't have to know if you are given a specific modular function. Only work on the API contract. Make sure that it works perfectly. And that's how he's built it. And he says that if anybody does not follow API contracts to work, you will be fired from the company. Okay, please go read this speech, this document of Jeff Bezos for Amazon. And we have pretty much, from day one, all our engineering team, because they come from multiple organizations, they've been mandated to follow contracts so that the downstream person need not know what exactly is happening. There's a contract that comes, as long as they know that this contract is coming here, it will work perfectly against that. They should just make an assumption to go that. So, and I would strongly recommend think that way. You should not be worried about what the upstream or downstream. You're given a piece of module of code, you are mandated to do that contract, make sure that works perfectly under all scenarios. So even if we know a team will explain, each of our APIs have got multiple test cases against which they are done. So, and what we go back and tell as a part of a Swagger documentation is these test cases are there, it will work perfectly for what we have deployed over here. If it is outside this year, we're not committing on that. But for these test cases, it will work fine. So all that what we know is talking in terms of libraries, just go with an assumption that this contract is there, this library is there, it will work for this. Go with that assumption. So, and yeah, I would strongly recommend if none of you have seen that Jeff Bezos document, please Google it and find it out.
So, any more questions on this?
So yeah, if you are I want to check the revisions of this, you can go back to the releases and see how this method was refactored, but the start line and the end line remains the same. The contract remains the same as Madhu said. Whatever the inner functions, it gets evolving. Okay.
So then how you are tracking that? Like suppose I want to fetch a certificate.
Okay.
So my program will be written inside that where it will be getting the required based on the input which I am giving for a certificate using the user ID or this ID, the other ID. Means the user ID and the ID for getting the certificate.
Okay, so this is fetch all certificates here.
But my first step will be only just giving the user ID, correct?
Yeah, to show the list of certificates. Yes.
Okay, then once I get the list, so that list will be based on ID, some ID, your certificate ID or the course
Yes,
ID.
yeah, certificate ID.
So based on that course ID, I will be fetching
The individual certificate. Okay.
Okay, so there might be some changes in that.
Okay.
For while getting. So that
Okay.
is what it is being done here in the library, correct?
No, no.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Very true.
Go ahead.
So you have, based on your thought process, you have done some changes. So my team, someone will do, based on their thought process, another version.
Okay.
So how we maintain that one?
So again, this is
Repeat the question. Okay. I would like to repeat your question.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I am asking, ultimately, see, when we are fetching the certificate, it could be that the format has to be changed. So earlier it was in some format. Okay, now I am using the certificate, DigiLocker, something like that. In that case, how we are maintaining the versioning?
See.
Inside this one.
Huh.
Because still here I am able to get the certificate, and we have the code. By you have done one small thing. My team has done something. So, but I want to fetch the data as per the changes which my team has done.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually what happens is I can override the function. That is one. But what is the approach?
See.
To answer that,
One second.
we have something called as versioning of that.
Let's repeat the question. Okay. So I would like to repeat your question, just to confirm. See, what you're saying is today there's a method to get all the certificates using some course ID, batch ID, and all. Right? So that works perfectly. Now you have different use case in the project. Say that, okay, small change in that method. Or I want to filter furthermore. Then I have to get a filtered list. Okay, the same parameters, but I have to get a different use case. That's what the question is, right? Maybe DigiLocker, some other use case. Okay, that's what your question. Now, there are two approaches. Okay, now that is a generic thing so that anybody can use it. Then you will expose the same request with a different method altogether. Not the same method, different method, which is integrating for some other use case. Right? You have to give the right naming convention so that everybody can understand by the method name itself.
But I will create another
Method, okay, proper naming convention so that others can understand what is that method for. But request is still the same. But that will give as per your need. That's a one way of thinking of it so that everybody can reuse that method. If it is project specific, you take this input from this, you filter inside a project, inside your, don't make changes here. Make changes inside your project, the portal wherever integrated. There you make that filter change, and that will work only for your project. So others, because that method is not generic method, that's what you are doing only inside your project, rather than doing the change here. The two approaches.
yeah, and adding to one of that approach. So in this case, this acts as a middleman. Okay, so if you want to filter with additional filters, we saw there's one step. Can we take one step behind? There's a request body. So here, whatever the params we are passing, right, this acts as in filters in the query, the core service, right? If you have seen the general composite search, yesterday in the form config, we see that requests we had SE boards is equal to so and so, mediums is equal to an array. Similar way, whatever we are passing here acts as a condition in your core services and fetch the list. So tomorrow, if you want to add with the schema name to put it in, if it's let's say for debate, if you have format, get it in PDF or SVG, you can pass it here like let's say saying format and give it in SVG. This acts as a filter for you. So whatever the CSL we are looking at here acts as a middleman and just takes your request and just forward it to the upstream, whatever the respective services, gets the response, share it with the, provide it with the, all the stakeholders in the proper format which is agreed, right?
I just want to interrupt.
Yeah, no.
Time check.
No. Yeah.
I just
10:40.
want to add that time check.
10:40, it's going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions around this?
Any questions on the
Pretty
CS?
much, yeah, all the methods work the same way. We don't want to go to each and every method level.
So,
Okay.
the reason chosen with fifth certificate is a lot of revisions. So we can see that the start line and the end line remains the same, and whatever the logics you keep on evolving. The agreements remains the same between all the stakeholders. Yeah, good with the CSL. I think.
We had one more topic.
Yeah, I think is there a break or can I start off with that? I'm not.
We can have a break at 11:30.
In between you can take it. 11 o'clock is up.
What time is the break? 11. We have 20 more minutes. Let's continue.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Before we proceed to the next library, okay, so which is common consumption components.
We know.
Okay. Yeah.
So as you were asking for the installation and how do I set up, each of the repositories have a well-defined README file. I mean, if you find anything additional, you can also contribute. It has like what is the prerequisites, what is the repo all about, what is, how do we install this package, right? Once you install, sorry, just
Zoom out, zoom out.
so once you install, how do I get started? Like how do I import? Like we saw in installation in the package.json, once we install, how do I import in the module.ts file? Now what we have done it in module, how do I import it in the component level? And then, now how do I access methods which is supported by CSL? So each of them has been well defined, and whatever the configuration or sample configurations, right, the mock data, the request payloads, everything is well defined and mentioned in the service, so that it's easy to, when we look at the repo, okay, I know I can onboard this and I can use it in project directly. So if we go through that, it's pretty much all the repos have this. Without that, the report doesn't get published. Yeah.
I do have a question about this repo installation. We tried repo installation for Sunbird resource library.
Sunbird?
Resources library.
Resource library, that's a language.
Sunbird, plugin name was Sunbird resource library.
Huh.
Yes.
Okay.
So in the project, the version name was mentioned 5.1.0. So when we tried to clone that project from your Git repo to our machine, we were getting so many errors. And the version which worked good for us was 6. 6 actually worked good for us, but that version was not compatible with our project.
Is that feature is
Sunbird
okay,
resource
which is-
library. Okay.
Yes.
Can you just confirm the library name?
Can you tell me that?
Tell me what is the library?
I can show you that if you want.
Okay. No, just tell me the package.
This one.
What is any?
No, okay. You have the screenshot. Can I get the package name, package.json name? Okay, so there's also, we need to understand, in this, okay, GitHub, this particular repo has a project name called Sunbird-client-services, which is the project name and what is the repo, what is the this plugin name, basically. That doesn't mean that we have to publish the package with the same. We have conventions @ project-sunbird is a scoped package. That means that it's an organization managed project. So @ project-sunbird / client services.
Packet JSON file is the key.
So the repo name and the package name,
Should not be the same.
I mean,
no need to be the same. always.
we can't. We can't name a repo with the @ project-sunbird. The special characters are not allowed. Convention from Git. Yeah. Do you have the name of the package?
What the error was.
Okay. Resource hyphen. No, okay, let me pull up.
Even we are getting this error, see here also, the red line.
Oh, CK editor.
Actually,
Knowledge curve package. Okay. Okay. Well, I think it's CK editor or Sunbird resource library.
Sunbird resource library, there is a package which is 5.7.0 that we are using right now.
So actually, you said that 5.1.0 is not working, 6.0 is working.
Yes.
Okay. So
That is okay. But the 6.0 is not compatible with the project Diksha, the output that is different?
See, one thing, first thing is, okay.
Vinu, just a minute.
Yeah.
I just wanted to give them. Okay, so there is something, a concept called semantic versioning. Okay, so the first number denotes a major version release. Let's say 2.0.1. 2 is a major, and the middle one is minor, and the third one is patch. So 5.1.0 and 6.0 is the major release. So we have to go through the release document and what changes has done, what is the breaking changes, what is the compatibility issues, all we have to go through. I can't give away directly
Even
to.
I do have just a screenshot because it is done on my.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree there is an error. But we have to see what is the previous version and what is the major version. So you said that 5.1.0 and 6.0. It's a major.
Yeah, major
So
version.
that's a major. That's the semantic versioning we were following
That
in.
means we can't use 6, right? We have to use 5.1.0.
It all depends on the consumer. Like if I have the portal with the 6.0, right, and if I use an Angular 5, no, because we have already come to long way, and you have to use compatible packages only. We can't
Okay,
downgrade on our customization, right?
Before we proceed on that, okay, I would suggest as Diksha, okay, because you're adopting ED, right? What are ED being packaged and given? Because that's been tested, that's been verified, and it's given as a release. So any adapters can use. Diksha is another adapter who's using that thing. You need to make a version package changes that drastically.
Yes.
Until Sunbird saying that on this particular release, I given the patch.